PowerShell actually is a scripting language, right? If you know about programming languages, there are different generation of languages we have. We start from first generation language that was based on machine language. Second generation language was based on assembly language. Third generation language was based on procedural language. From there, the high level language was introduced, in which basic Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, C, these all language fall under uh, third generation language. These are our procedural language. After that, in the fourth generation language, basically, there is this is a matter of debate that whether we can put object-oriented language in fourth generation or in third generation. So in third generation itself, we consider the object-oriented language like C++, Java, C Sharp, right? Visual Basic. These are object-oriented language. Again, a concept came in the market that object-oriented event-driven language, right? So C++ is not a event-driven language, right? C Sharp is a event-driven language. Java is a event-driven language. Visual Basic and Visual C++, I mean that Visual Basic Net and Visual C++ Net, .NET, these are event-driven language, right? Then Shell a scripting language is different from these all languages, right? Of course, any language must have its own interpreter or compiler, right? So that it can interpret the, the, the constructs or the statements that is written in the program, right? So shell scripting is having a different story, right? If you know about Windows operating system, that Windows operating system consists of uh, not only Windows operating system, any operating system is having two major parts. One is kernel, another is shell, right? So kernel is what which interacts with the hardware, and basically under the kernel there are two kinds of things come under: some background processors of operating system and all the device drivers. These you can consider under the kernel processes, right? Then you have shell, right? So what is the task of shell? Whatever command or whatever instructions you write on the shell prompt that is interpreted by the shell, it means that shell has its own interpreter, right? It interprets those commands and then it hands over to the kernel. Kernel interacts with the hardware and then it does the task, whatever you have instructed. After that, it returns the result set back to the shell, and shell gives you the output, right? So if we talk about shell, so the history of shell is from where the operating system evolved, right? So if we talk about Windows operating system, then the shell of Windows operating system is your command prompt, right? And you go to the command prompt by either searching CMD or directly you can type CMD on the run. In the run window, you can directly type CMD, right? You will go to the command prompt. This is the command prompt for Windows operating system, right? Every operating system is having its own version, right? And from where you can get it? You can get it from the shell, right? So this is Windows 10 that you see here. The version is 10.0, and then followed by the subversion numbers, right? So this is the cell of operating system, and this is known as DOS cell. Who has joined? Pravat, I can see you have joined. Hi. Okay, so what I was talking, this is the DOS cell, right? So in DOS, you have basically two kinds of commands, right? One is internal command, another is external command. All the internal commands are defined under a, uh, a file that is known as command.com, right? So am I audible, Vivekanand?
Yes, sir. Now audible.
Okay. So let us go to the command prompt uh, in the root directory of command prompt and search for this file command.com, and we can search in every directory by /s. So meanwhile it is searching, let us discuss something else. What I was talking, that all the internal commands of DOS is defined under this command.com, and external command are those. Let us open another command prompt, this time from search window. So go to here, and here you have some another kind of command that you have is external command. So attrib is your external command, right? If I type attrib here, right, it will list me the attributes of all the files and directories, right? Likewise, you have uh, external command, many external commands such as xcop you have, format command you have, right? So many external commands you have. All external commands have their own, uh, you know, uh, executable files. And in DOS, basically, they are in form of .com, active.com, or you may find some external commands are in form of exes, right? So DOS was having not a rich set of commands, although it was having its own DOS cell. And the second thing is that it has very limited programming constructs. When I say programming constructs, that refers to you know, conditional statements, looping statements, variables, data types that it supports, then some uh, reserved variables, user defined variables. These are the different programming constructs. But as a core, if you talk what are the programming constructs, I would say that the branching statement, right, or the conditional statement, and the looping statement, right? So when I say conditional statement, that refers to your if else statement. When I say branching statement, that refers to two statements, if else and case statement. And when I say looping, under looping, you have while, you have, uh, you know, do while when, something like that. Then you have for, then you have for each, then you have for each object, different looping construct you have. So DOS was lacking in that, right? And the limitation of DOS cell was that DOS cell could have only the ability to interact with the operating system itself. It was not able to interact with other applications. That was the problem, right? So Microsoft decided to develop such a cell at first for Windows operating system, right? They never kept that in mind that one day they will introduce PowerShell for Linux and different flavors of Unix as well, right? Or some other operating system as well. But nowadays you can execute PowerShell. It's not there. Okay. So nowadays you can execute PowerShell scripts and PowerShell commands in Linux itself, right? You can do that. So PowerShell is now not only limited to Windows operating system, but it can be used in Linux operating system as well for automation purposes. That is the second thing. Next, I would like to talk about the capability of PowerShell is not only limited to Windows operating system, rather the applications that you run on top of Windows operating system, you can play with most of uh, applications which are coming from Microsoft, which Microsoft has developed, right? You can work with those all applications using PowerShell, such as PowerShell can be used to manipulate your Active Directory. So that is part of your Windows operating system. PowerShell can be used to automate Exchange tasks, right? PowerShell can be used to manage your Excel, right? PowerShell can be used to manage SQL Server, right? So we are not going to focus any dimension of managing operating system using PowerShell. We are not going to focus on managing Active Directory using PowerShell. We will not talk about how to manipulate Exchange using PowerShell. Rather, our entire focus will be to automate tasks which are related to SQL Server using PowerShell. But to do that, we will have to learn PowerShell from very basic, right? So developers have background of the programming, right? They can understand the programming construct in the scripting language as well, right? Very easily. But for administrators, since programming is somewhat new, so I will try to teach you very basic things first in PowerShell, and then we will go uh, level by level, somewhat advanced, to automate SQL Server tasks, right? So when we talk about PowerShell, PowerShell is a scripting language. And when we say languages are somewhat, uh, you know, different than your high-level languages. So scripting languages, in any script language, whether it is PowerShell, whether it is Born Shell that is used you know, in Unix, and whether it is Corn Shell that is used in Linux, right? Born Shell, Corn Shell, C Shell, whatever shell you have, there are very uh, precise statements that you write to carry out a task. You don't have to write a long code for that. The only thing that you have to understand is that what those codes are, right? So for that, you will have to first understand the different components of your PowerShell, right? So if we talk about the history of PowerShell, right? So PowerShell was first introduced in server edition, if we talk, in Windows Server 2003, right? It was developed for Windows Server 2003, and if I am correct, then it was working fine with uh, what would that client operating system, perhaps Windows 7. their PowerShell was there, right? So at that time, PowerShell was developed for Windows Server 2003, and it was introduced with the version that is version number one. Version PowerShell first version was 1.0, right? Then, as the time passes by, more features were introduced in PowerShell. I'm not talking about those features, right? We will have a better review of the feature at the last of the sessions, when we will finish PowerShell, because you will see many new things, right? If I talk about, say, stepable pipelines, you will not be able to understand what does it mean, right? First, you have to understand what is pipeline. Then only you can understand what is the stepable pipeline, right? What you will be not able to understand about PS remoting, PowerShell remoting, right? So I'm not going to talk about one feature is there, DSC feature, right? So you will be not able to understand these things. So I'm not going to talk about the feature wise improvement or enhancement those were done in PowerShell. Just try to understand right now that the first version of PowerShell was known as 1.0, and it was introduced for uh, Windows Server 2003, right? And available in Windows Operating System 2003, and then PowerShell 2.0 was introduced, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the latest version of PowerShell you have now is 7.0, right? One thing you should be clear about, that PowerShell uses, anybody worked on .NET, ASP.NET or ADO.NET? No. ASP.NET and ADO.NET uses a concept of, you worked? Rahul says yes. You worked, Rahul? Okay. So it uses assemblies, right?
Right, right.
So assemblies are nothing, uh, uh, but a collection of classes and methods, you can say. Earlier it was known as function. There is some difference between between function and method, right? A class can have its own properties and its method as well, right? So PowerShell uses assemblies of .NET framework, right? Nothing new has been introduced to develop PowerShell. Rather, it uses the existing .NET framework assemblies. I will show you uh, at the end of the session that how it uses, right? So assemblies. Did you develop assembly, Rahul?
Yes, yes. A couple of times. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the feature, the beauty of assemblies is that an assembly developed in a .NET .NET compatible language can be used in any other language project. So for example, if you have developed an assembly in C sharp, you can import that assembly in a project that is being developed in Visual Basic .NET, right? That is the beauty of assemblies, right? So assemblies, inbuilt assemblies are there. Those assemblies are part of namespace. You might not be able to understand what I'm talking right now. Nothing to be panicked, right? I will tell you each of the things. So those assemblies are part of namespace. It means that on the top hierarchy, namespaces are there. After that, assemblies are there, and within assemblies we have classes, right? And within classes we have methods and properties, right? So what you have to use in order to create a new class. So for example, you have to connect to SQL Server, right? So first you have to import the assembly, which is related to SQL Server class, right? So that is microsoft.management.smo. That is the assembly you have to call in, right? When you call in this assembly, after that you can SMO, here SMO is the class, the last one. So then you can create you can create an object of that class, and using that object you can create you can connect to an instance of the SQL Server, right? I will show you today that how you can do that. So you will have to little bit understand about these concepts. What is namespace? What is assembly? What is class? What is an instance of class? Right? An instance of class. How it becomes how it becomes an object, and then how you can use the properties and method of that object. Right? So basically, uh, PowerShell is used for automating your what I can say uh, repetitive automation of repetitive task, right? That is basically time consuming, right? So for example, uh, say for example, you have 100 SQL Server instances in your environment hosted on 100 Windows servers, right? You don't have any monitoring tool in your environment. You are working there as a DBA. You have been asked to check for the status of all the instances, whether it is whether they are running, they are or they are in a stopped state, right? One way to do is it manual. So what you will do, you will go to the server, you will open the services, services uh, a window there, right? And after that, you will find whether SQL Server service is in running a state or in a stopped state, right? So you will have to do this task for the 100 servers, and it's a repetitive task and time consuming too. So does not seem a smart work, right? So how to do it smartly? Simply, you have to develop a PowerShell script that will check for the status of SQL services which are running on each of the server, and it will catch for only it will catch or report you only for those services of SQL Server which are in stopped state, and that you can send over mail to your team members, right? So this becomes a monitoring task. This is just an example, right? So there are many examples. For example, you have to say check for the auto growth property of the databases. Say, for example, on one instance, you have 20 database. On another instance, you have 4 database. And on another instance, you have 100 databases, right? So you are asked to check for the auto growth property for all databases hosted on all instances in your environment, right? Think of the number of databases hosted on 100 instances of SQL Server. So say on 100 instances, you have 1200 of databases there, right? Checking auto growth properties for 1200 databases is a very time consuming task, right? What you can do, you can automate this using PowerShell, and you can generate a report in Excel that this is the auto growth property size for each and every database instance wise. You can generate that report as well, right? So basically, PowerShell automation task from SQL Server prospect starts from installation and whatever task you do, you can automate using PowerShell. Whatever you do in SQL Server, you can automate using PowerShell. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible, right? You can create jobs, you can back up your database, you can restore your database, you can create logins, you can assign rights to logins, you can create link servers, whatever you wish, you can do that. We will try to learn these all things. What are the major tasks, right, that we perform in SQL Server, right? We will try to automate. And apart from that, if I will miss anything, you can come with your requirement that this is my requirement, right? But these things we will do when we will uh, finish the course, right? So the course duration is of uh, six classes, right? That is 3 weekends, and I mentioned there 1:30 to 3:30, but it can go up to 4:30 as well. There is no problem. So I may change. I may change the class timing. Sometimes it may be from 1 to 4, or maybe it will be from 2 to 5, right? But anyway, it will be more than 2 hours. Why I have just decided to go with 2 hours? Because my all classes were scheduled for 3 hours, and I have noticed that when I go beyond 2 hours, most of the participants are gone, right? They are not interested to learn more than 2 hours. So it all depends on your interest. If I will see that you people are interested, I can extend those hours as well, from 2 hours to 3 hours. There is no problem at all. So those who are new here, right, for them, this is the information that this PowerShell training is the part of an existing batch, and I have invited uh, uh, new participants as well. If you wish, you can join here. The course fee is very minimal. It's only 6,000 rupees, and it's not negotiable. It has to be paid in one installment, right? So this batch has been running since, I think, more than 5 months now. Ram Kumar, since when we are running this batch?
Um, yeah, I think it is 4 or 5 months. Yes, right.
Yeah, right. So we have discussed a lot of things, starting from SQL Server database administration to Azure SQL administration, right? And now we are in PowerShell.
Right.
So there is no question in starting the batch from 18th, right? And as soon as you take the admission, that will be better for you. So if anyone is interested, right, you can directly drop me a mail. I will give my email ID to you. So this is my email here. Don't end the meeting with a chat window. Srinivas, PowerShell is useful for all. It's not only for DBA. But so far, this course is concerned, it is basically based for automating SQL Server tasks using PowerShell. So it's not only for DBA, right? 18th is Friday, then maybe 19th. Oh, I did the mistake, right? From 19th we will start. What I was thinking. neeraj1572@gmail.com is my email ID. You can drop me a mail. It went to Vivekanand directly, right?
Yes, sir.
Here I am pinging again. And 8750560006 is my phone number. You can call me, and I'm available on WhatsApp uh, on this number also. You can ping me on this number also. Okay. So having a little bit background of PowerShell, let us first see what we are going to discuss under this course, and then I will demonstrate you through PowerShell and PowerShell scripting. So these are the very basic things we discussed about. A brief history of PowerShell. That is, it started with Windows Server 2003, Windows Vista, and Windows XP SP2. Right. The first version of PowerShell was 1.0, and the latest version we have PowerShell is 7.0. So as new versions were introduced, some new features were also introduced by the time. Today we will talk about PowerShell environment, right? Basically, it provides you two kinds of environment. One is based on its integrated development environment, right? And another is based on command prompt. So we will talk about these two. PowerShell console and PowerShell ISE. These two are the different environment. How you can run PowerShell as an administrator, and after that, how you can execute your script. So for that, you will have to change your policies, right? What are the policies you have? We will talk about what do you mean by restricted, what do you mean by unrestricted, what is remote signed, right? We'll talk about these all things. PowerShell versions, we talked. PowerShell, this is very interesting. We will talk about a few important PowerShell CMDlets. Then we will talk about commandlet naming convention. It follows a naming convention of a verb plus noun, right? So for example, if you have to get the date, right, then simply if you want to get the information of your uh, time, right, simply you write get date. So get is the verb and that is the noun here, right? So every CMDlet is the combination of get verb plus noun. For example, if you want to see the directory of this folder, right, then you have to write the command get child item. So get is the verb and child item is the noun, right? So every CMDlet follows a naming convention, and that naming convention is based on verb plus noun, right? We will talk about providers of PowerShell. What are the different providers we have? We will talk about the snap-ins and modules of PowerShell. PowerShell pipeline is very important to understand, which makes PowerShell really powerful, right? So if you talk about pipelines in DOS, okay, so I am typing command here, dir, right? I see different directories here, right? But if I go back to the, or let me do that, the same thing. I'm typing a command dir/s, right? So you can see that the screen is scrolling, right? I want to see my output screen by screen. So what I can do, I can introduce a pipeline. Pipeline is not new to PowerShell. It was also in DOS. That is what I want to say you here. So more is an external command. It works like a filter, page filter. So it will filter out all the output and it will display the output, page by page. So your page is full. That's why you see here in this manner. Let us clear the screen and then execute this command. So what I executed, CLS. Oh, it is coming, right? More. So you can see the output is coming here. So this is just a kind of filter. More is here. More is an external command in DOS, and it works with filter. So the pipeline that I used, dir /s, and the pipe after that more. So same pipe is used there. But in pipeline there are more operators. We will learn about those operators in PowerShell as well. We will first learn about the scripting basics. So in scripting basics, we will learn first thing about variables, then the data types, and then programming constructs. When we talk about programming constructs, we will talk about first the conditional statement, that is if. Then we will talk about conditional with branching statement, that is case. Then we will talk about looping statement using for. In for, we have 2-3 variants, for each and for each object. So we will talk about these 3 variants with real-time examples. And after that, we will talk about while loop, right? We will talk about functions as well. Functions with parameters also we will talk about, right? So these things comes under the scripting basics. And one more important thing I forgot, we will talk about data types, right? What data types PowerShell supports for different kinds of data. Then how to run PowerShell script. So how to get help with CMD-lets. So CMD-lets, what CMD-lets in PowerShell? CMD-lets are nothing, but they are inbuilt internal, you can say, classes in PowerShell, right? So let me clear the screen. Here you have the clear command to clear the screen, right? CLEAR, clear. And in DOS, you have CLS. In command prompt, you have CLS, right? What I was talking there?
Commandlet.
Hmm?
Commandlet.
Commandlets. So for example, I wrote here, get date, right? So this is a commandlet. Get date is a class created in some assembly internally, right? In .NET framework, and from there we are calling it. So get date is basically a class there, right? We are writing here get child item. So it gives me list of all the directories along with the files. Get child items. I just cleared the screen here. I want to see that on what version we are working in PowerShell here, right? So for that, we have an inbuilt variable. There are some inbuilt variable also. PS version, PowerShell version, and table. Perhaps this is the command here. Yes, it works. So I have PowerShell 5.1. I mean that it's version 5, not 7, right? So I'm on version 5, right? It's desktop edition, not the server edition. PowerShell edition is based on the, since I'm on Windows 10, that's why you see PS edition is desktop, right? This is your CLR version for .NET Framework, right? Common language runtime version. This is 4.0. Mainly you have to focus on here PS version and PS edition, right? So in this way, you can find the version of PowerShell. Okay, so this section is based on very basics of PowerShell. Today we will try to cover these all things, right? After that, we will enter into, uh, managing PowerShell, managing SQL Server using PowerShell, right? So how you can connect to SQL Server via PowerShell. Once you get connected, after that, you can start working. So you have some ways to connect with SQL Server. We will discuss about those ways, right? You can connect using SQL PS, right? You can use even SQL Server as snapsins, right? You can even use SQL Server assemblies, right? So you have basically three modes of connecting to SQL Server. One is using SQL PS, another is using SQL Server as snapsin, and another is using SQL Server assemblies. So we will first learn how to connect SQL Server using assemblies. After that, when we will go advanced, we will learn about how to connect using SQL PS, right? And then once you get connected, you can manage your SQL Server using SQL Server using PowerShell, or you can automate your task in SQL Server using PowerShell, right? Then we will talk about configuring SQL Server, right? How you can configure SQL Server from PowerShell itself, right? How you can change the configurations of PowerShell, how you can manage your service account and services related to SQL Server, right? How you can change SQL Server, how you can start and stop SQL Server, how you can check the status of SQL Server, these all things. So when I talk about configuration settings, right, we can get current instance configuration setting like mean memory, max memory, affinity masks, uh, then optimize for ad hoc workload settings, fill factor, etc. and etc. We can get the information of our instance, right? We can read our SQL Server error logs using PowerShell. We can manage the service accounts. We can change the service account using PowerShell, right? These all things we can do. And we can also change the instance level configuration settings using PowerShell. So those steps we will learn. After that, basically, whatever the administration tasks you have, that comes under module 4 in SQL Server, right? So these are the standard tasks that I have mentioned here. What databases are hosted on your SQL Server that you can list out, and in those databases, what tables you have, what files and file groups you have, right? How you can add files and file groups using PowerShell in your database. What are the different SPIDs that is running in SQL Server that you can check, right? How you can enable any database level feature using PowerShell, such as auto update stats, right? Auto create stats, auto shrink on or off, auto close on or off, right? You can do these all things. how you can attach and detach databases using PowerShell, how you can backup and restore databases using PowerShell, right? How you can reorganize or rebuild index using PowerShell, how you can manage your logins, users, and permissions using PowerShell, how you can, assign permissions or revoke permissions using PowerShell, how you can add logins. These are the things here, right? And how you can manage your jobs using PowerShell, right? Then this is very interesting part, querying SQL Server with PowerShell. So in order to query SQL Server database using PowerShell, you must have good understanding of ADO.NET. So I will talk about ADO.NET as well, right? So these are the things there. Then finally, we have monitoring and automation of SQL Server, right? So how you can monitor your SQL Server, right? For example, whether my SQL Server is SQL Server services, especially database engine, and basically important services we will have to check: database engine, agent service, and browser service. These three are more important. If you are not using full text catalog, then that is not important one. How you can monitor the status of these services, and if any of the service is found stopped or down, how you can send mail using PowerShell script, right, to your team or the relevant persons, right? So this is all about the monitoring. So you are automating this, right? Likewise, you can check the failure status of the jobs, right? So I think that there are few participants here in this batch, right, who worked under me, right? So they saw that how I developed this script, right, and introduced in the environment for monitoring PowerShell services, for monitoring PowerShell jobs, right, for monitoring always on servers, right, for failure of conditions, for automating the CDC jobs on always on servers, right? So I think that they saw how I did that, right? So how to then check for the blocking and deadlocks, right? Based on the threshold, you can set a threshold for blocking, right? And based on the threshold, you can send the mail to your team or any deal or specific persons that blocking happened on this server for this much long time. So definitely then DBAs have to look into that, or developers have to look into that, right? So that is kind of automation for monitoring, right? Even such kind of monitoring is not available by default in any inbuilt monitoring in any monitoring tool such as SCOM. You will have to customize that. So if you have gone through the modules, you will see that module number 6, module number 5, and module number 3, module number 4 and 3, and then 2, right? These 5 modules starting from 2 to 6 are based on SQL Server, managing SQL Server using PowerShell. So the emphasis of this course is basically on automation of SQL Server tasks, automation of uh, SQL Server monitoring using PowerShell, right? So it will not take a lot of time. And the second thing I would like to tell you, how many of you know about runbook that is used in Azure for automation of jobs? Anyone knows about it? No?
No, sir.
Okay. I discussed about the runbook, right? So let the PowerShell model finish. Then again, I will talk about that. So there are two things. Recently, I am working in a project with the DevOps team. So the first task where I work with DevOps team to automate is to automate SQL Server installation, right? In using the GitLab. GitLab is a DevOps tool. So there they created CI/CD pipeline, and in pipeline there was one stage, or we also say there was one step, stage or a stage, both are same things. So the first step was to provision a VM. The provisioning of VM was done by PowerShell script, right? Even you talk about DevOps also. So in the GitLab, the first stage was provisioning a VM, right? Then when you can install SQL Server. So provisioning of VM was done by PowerShell script as stage 1 or step 1. The step 2 was installation of SQL Server, right? So we automated that installation using the configuration file and PowerShell, right? So second step of installation was done by PowerShell itself, right? So how powerful PowerShell is that whether you are part of any DevOps team or as a DBA or developer, if you have to work with PowerShell, work with DevOps team, PowerShell plays a very important role there, right? That is the first case I talked here. The second case, when you are working in Azure for Azure SQL single database, right? Then in that case, you don't have SQL isn't there. So you will have to uh, create your jobs in the runbook, right? And then you can schedule the jobs using the automation account. So the language that the runbook understand can be your PowerShell, Python, or Azure CLI, right? These are the three languages that it understands. So for jobs, you will have to create jobs. You will have to learn either about PowerShell or Python. These two are most popular there. And for SQL Server purposes, we prefer to write jobs in PowerShell, not in Python, because PowerShell is very native to SQL Server, right? This is the second case. The third case, let me tell you what I did. We had to do a migration of SQL Server, which was in on-premise of a customer. And the limitation was that we didn't have access on that instance, on that server. Client, due to security, client completely denied to provide access on their database server, on the SQL server, right? So what I did, I developed a single PowerShell script, right? So that script can script out all the logins, all the jobs, all the linked servers, all the endpoints, uh, whatever important things we have, all the database of server level triggers, whatever the important things we have to migrate it the single PowerShell script client had to run on their server, and then SQL script is generated for all. So they will have to pass that SQL script. They would have to pass that those SQL script to us, and our task is simply to execute to restore the database, the backup they have provided on some blob URL under a storage account in Azure, right? So from there, we restore the database, and after that, we ran all those SQL script, which was the outcome of that PowerShell script, right? So simply we executed those script, right? SQL script, and the migration was done, right? And the migration was done. So you can think about PowerShell in any scenario. That's why I talked about 3-4 scenarios, right? And this is why PowerShell is very important, especially for DBAs, right? Because you have to automate the tasks. Your responsibility is to automate the tasks. Those who are SQL developers, right? Their ask is basically to create procedures, right? Basically, their ask is to create procedures in order to implement the business rules, right? As Ento joined. Ento, you there? He just pinged me. He's from Australia. He's leading a team there. He was my student of performance tuning batch. He just pinged me. He's saying I will join your PowerShell batch. Okay. So these are the different scenarios, and this is not a limitation. Uh, think whatever you have to do in PowerShell in your environment in SQL Server, you can do using PowerShell, right? So I would like to show you some script that I developed in order to uh, build an application, I would say. You see here, a scripts remedy reporting AR system. I developed a solution using the combination of many things are there. Batch file is there. This is a part of DOS, and then many PowerShell scripts you can see, right? I developed. So I'm not going to talk about this solution right now, right? This is a different dimension of discussion. So it was a combination of batch file, PowerShell file, and some VBA scripts, right? So with the combination of this all, I was able to, as a DBA, I was able to, and SSIS was also there. I was able to develop a big solution for my company, right? So PowerShell is really very powerful, and it is only limited uh, with your thinking, right? Nothing is impossible. You can do whatever you think in SQL Server, you can do that. So guys, I will be back in 2 minutes, and then we will start to learning PowerShell, right? To learn PowerShell.
Hey Neeraj, I cannot hear you. I'm not sure if other can hear.
We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Okay, I'm back. Hello, Ram Kumar, you there? Ram
Yeah.
Kumar?
Yes, Neeraj, I'm here. I was on mute.
Okay. Now you can hear me, right? Okay. Okay, let us go in the flow now. Let us start to learn actually the PowerShell from very basics now. I assume that you don't know PowerShell, right? So from that place, I would like to take you to a tour of PowerShell, right? So PowerShell is now part of your uh, operating system, Windows operating system. When your VM is provisioned, right? Usually you have PowerShell. There was a day of Windows Server 2003 where we had to install PowerShell in order to work with PowerShell. And at that time, when we did the automation of SQL Server for all servers, right at that time on many of the servers we had to install PowerShell manually. But nowadays that limitation is gone. Starting from Windows Server 2012, right? You have PowerShell installed already, right? You don't have to install PowerShell on your system, right? So I'm on my client operating system. This is my operating system here. You can see what is the version. I told you, I show you on the command prompt, and here what operating system version, right? So I can go to my computer, and here I can also show you on this PC, go to your properties, and here you can see where is operating system version. It's Windows 10, right? So I'm on Windows 10. Here you can see, and hence my PowerShell is already installed on my system. So there are two flavors of PowerShell you have on your system. To see that, just type in PowerShell in search window, start search window, right? On the top, you see Windows PowerShell ISE, right? And the second you see Windows PowerShell, the third you see Windows PowerShell x86, fourth you see Windows PowerShell ISE, right? x86. The first you see Windows PowerShell ISE, right, is your integrated development environment, and it provides you GUI form to develop your script, right, with IntelliSense feature. I will show you how. What does IntelliSense mean here? The second is your Windows PowerShell, and this is your what I can say. This is your command prompt, right? So on Windows PowerShell, the second option, if you choose, you will go to your command prompt. The third one, Windows PowerShell, applies to where you see x86. This applies to 32-bit operating systems, right? Where you see Windows PowerShell ISE x86, this applies to 32-bit operating system. So the PowerShell, when it was developed, Windows Server 2, at that time, Windows Server 2000, 2000 in Windows Server 2003, not in 3, in year 2006, it was introduced, right? So we had what version of Windows Server? Windows Server 2008 we had, at 2003 we had at that time, right? So it also came in 32-bit form. So if your operating system is 32-bit, right, you cannot use PowerShell, these two versions of PowerShell that is targeted for 64-bit operating system. The same is true for SQL Server also. If you have an operating system based on 32-bit, you cannot install 64-bit SQL Server on that. But starting from Windows Server 2000, 2000, I'm not sure, but in 2016 now, there is no 32-bit version available for Windows Server and SQL Server as well. But still, for PowerShell, there are 4 options here, right? So I know that my operating system is 64-bit, so I will go with 64-bit PowerShell ISE. So always open this PowerShell by right-click and run as administrator, right? Always open. This is your command prompt. So always open this by right-click and just a minute. Right-click, run as administrator. So you are running this as an administrator. It will ask you to open this. Yes. So you are on PowerShell prompt now, right? Here, you can execute PowerShell CMDs directly, right? From here, CMDlets are known as commandlets. As I told that these are the different classes developed within .NET framework, assemblies, and from where we are calling it. So this is your PowerShell prompt here. I would not say command prompt. This is your PowerShell prompt, right? And you can execute your CMDlets directly from here. So as I shown you earlier, that if you want to see the det, right, you can write get det. This is a CMDlet, commandlet. Every commandlet consists of 2 parts. The first is verb, and second, then separated by a hyphen, not underscore, followed by the noun. So get is here the verb and det is the noun. Just execute this command. So you got the date of the system. You will have to learn many of the CMDlets, right? We will learn some basic CMDlets, not all, which are not useful for us. right? For example, if you want to get help on get det, right, you can write get is the verb, help is the noun, and you can write here get det. Should it work? Yes. The update, see here, the update helps CMD downloads the most current help files for Windows PowerShell module, right? It means that my help system is not updated. So it's saying me to update it, and it is giving me the link that from this link it will be updated. So verify the link, it is correct one because it refers to Microsoft. HTTPS go microsoft.com fw link ID this. So if I will press Y, it will start updating. So for now, I am saying no. It will consume my bandwidth, right? That's why I'm saying no. So to get help of any command, any cmdlet, right? You have the cmdlet. Here I am getting the help for get det cmd help. This is get help, right? Get det is the cmdlet for which I am getting the help. Get help, get date. All are clear with this? Hey guys, can you hear me?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Nobody is saying yes or no. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask your questions. So it gives me the syntax, right? This is the syntax of get command. There are a lot of parameters, right? You will have to read these parameters. You will have to understand. So basically, get is not only the verb. A few common verbs which are used in your cmdlets is a start, out. Out is using for uh, output something in the file or a screen. So you can use out file, right? Then start is to use start some service or start any VM, right? And the stop is to use any VM or any service. Set is to set something, especially for variables. It is used for setting the value of variables. We will talk about that. And new is to create some new items, right? So we saw the help of help for get date command. Likewise, get help format table is here. What commands PowerShell supports, right? To see the list of those commands, you can use the command. Let me close one window. Get command. So it will give you a list of commands that is supported by PowerShell, right? A long list is here, you can see. So the verb you can see here, write, right? Then verb is use, wait, update, undo, test, right? Suspend, stop, start, split, set. These all are verbs. You can see remove. A lot of things are here, right? Out, and then the get. export, enable, disable, converge, clear, add. These are the things you have. So to see the list of commands that PowerShell supports, you can use the cmdelete get command, right? Just to clear this screen, what command should I type? What command should I type? Vivekanand?
Yes, sir.
What command should I type? Just think and try it. Clear host. Clear host works, right?
Yes, sir.
Let me use another command now. First time I use clear host. This is Microsoft technology, right? So they frame technology in such a term which is very near to our day-to-day life thinking, right? Or day-to-day life practices. I wrote the command clear host, it cleared the screen. I will write the clear, it will clear the screen. Yes, but CLS, yes, it is also supported. So DOS commands are also supported here, right? DOS commands are also supported on PowerShell. For example, if I try the command time, no, it is not supported. Date is supported. Time is also not there. That is supported. So get date and date. Get date and date. Both are same, right? What is the difference between these two? Date and get date. What is the difference between these two? See here. This is what command prompt, DOS command prompt or Windows command prompt, you can say, right? And this is PowerShell prompt, right? Here I am typing the command get date. It will not work. It will not work. I'm typing the command date. It works, right? Here, both are working. Date is working and get date is working. It means that DOS commands are, most of the DOS commands are supported in PowerShell, right? So why it works? Let me try to find out the reason. Every command, this concept has taken from Unix operating system, that any command can have an alias, right? So what is the alias given to the get date commandlet? Let us try to find that out. Get alias, it is not coming.
Spelling mistake. That is get date.
Oh, sorry. get get date. Git command. Why it is not working? Get alias is here. Why it is not working? Get alias, get alias, det. This command cannot find a matching alias because an alias within the name get it does not.
For me.
Get alias, get date is working.
Get it is working, get it alias is working for me in my command prompt.
I think we need to update the version, I think.
No, we will have to update this, right? So in the alias, date is coming.
Let me
In the list of alias, do you see date?
date.
Date,
Here
D-A-T,
1 second.
D-A-T, it should be there. Let me try for another command. Get alias, get child item. For me, it's not working. Try this out. Get alias, get child item.
Okay.
In the alias, you should see GC, GCI, followed by DIR. These are the things you see there.
Get alias, get. Sir, it is not working. Get a child item. Get alias space get hyphen child item is not working.
But that was working. Get alias, get date.
Get alias is working.
No, simply get alias. What to do with get alias then? If it is working, what to do with this?
Okay. Only get alias is working. Get alias, get date is not working. It is not there in get alias.
It should work. So we were talking about which alias? Get date. We talked about get child item, right? So let us try to find GCI. CLS is for clear host, so that's why CLS is working. And this clear is for clear host, that's why clear is working, right? Likewise, we should have, let me try to show you GCI, GEFG. So it is, yes, GCI for get child item, right? You see here, GCI for get child item. And for date, DAT, no, that is not there. And DIR is for also get child item. So let me show you here. So if I write DIR, this is same. This is the alias given for get child item. That's why it is giving me a list of all the list of this directory. So including all the files and directories. Let us cancel it. I am using the command clear. This is the alias for clear host. So earlier I used dir. This time I will use GCI, get child item. This is equivalent to get hyphen child item. So GCI is the alias given to get child item. That's why it is working, right? So big commands are given some aliases that we can get with get alias command. Well, I think we are on 5. That's why it's not working. In 6 and 7, it should work. So what I was trying to do, I was trying to show you alias of all the commandlets, right? Get alias, ALIAS, get alias. So for each object is given the alias as %, right? Question mark is given alias as where object. AC is given alias for add content. ASNP is given alias for add a snap in. cat is given alias for get content. CD is for set location. CFS for convert from a string. CSDIR for set location, right? Change directory, that is set location. CLC is for clear content. Clean is for clear host. Likewise, right? If you want to use abbreviated valves, that is your that is your alias, right? You should learn about this.
Sir, here we are seeing a 3.1.00 version. That means it is introduced in this version or what? Get set, set hyphen time zone.
This one,
Yes, sir.
let us see this column here. This is the version.
Yes.
In this version, it was introduced. Very earlier, it was introduced, right? Okay, let us go ahead. Learn some more basic things now. So this is the alias we learned about. Let us talk about few basic services, right? So come here, Control C, and let us clear the screen, CLS. And here, now I want to see what services are running here, right? So I will execute the command get service. What services are running on my system? So in the left, it is showing the status, what services are in a stopped state, what are in the running state. There are different services, those are running. So let us search for the service of our interest, SQL Server. Do you see here? SQL browser. Agent is here. Yeah, SQL telemetry demo. MS SQL Server is running here, right? It is one default is in a stopped state, and this demo instance is in running state. You can see in the configuration manager that default service is in the stopped state and demo is in running state, right? Now I want to see my services which are related to SQL Server, right? Which are running on this machine. So what should I do? In the output, we saw here, my SQL Server service starts with MS, right? MS. So SQL Server will not work. Rather, we will have to write MS. Let us give a try for that. Just you can press up and down arrow to get your commands, right? So get service, what service I want. Now I want to filter out my services. I want to focus on SQL Server service here. So I will write MS. Was there any space? We will change it later on. So MS SQL, and we can give a star here, and we can close out. Let us give it a try. So yes, we got it. MS SQL demo is in running state, and MS SQL Server is in a stopped state, isn't it? You got it. Right. So So get service is another CMDlet that you have learned. Get child item you learned. What the get child item does? Can anybody tell me?
It will give the full directory details.
Yes, it will list your directory details, including all your files and folder. So get child item is equivalent to your dir command, and very surprisingly, ls command that you use in Unix, that should also work here, ls. Yes, it is working because get child item is also aliased with ls. So those who are from Unix or Linux background, for them it is here, right? ls is working here. How many of you have used ls command? Let me clear the output. I told you that all the CMDlets are classes defined within assemblies of .NET framework, right? Those who are from programming background, they know that a class can have multiple methods, multiple members and properties, right? So if you want to see the member of a particular kind of service, right? Get service, and it gives me the list of members of the services which it got, and it's related to MS SQL Server, right? So these are the members, right? Although we don't have much interest with this, but this is just for your information. So these are the members of that class, MS SQL Server class. Another kind of CMDlet which does not follow verb and noun pattern, right, is your new item. So let us try to create a directory first, right? Come to say E drive. I change the drive later, and I want to create one directory here. I am in DOS cell. What command I should write? The command to create a directory so far I remember is md, make directory, or mkdir, both should work. And say I am creating a directory, say dir1, right? And now I'm listing this directory of E drive. dir1 should be there. Yes, you can see here, dir1 is created. This is the directory that got created, right? Let us give a try with another command, mkdir, right? And this time I will create a directory dir2. This got created, yes. List the directory. Here it is dir2 created. So this is the DOS way to create directories, right? Either you use the AMD command or you use the mkdir command, both are same. In PowerShell, you have to use the command new item followed by the path. Then you have to specify the path, and you have to specify a keyword item type and which item type you want to create. That is your directory, right? So I want to create a directory. So I will have to go to the PowerShell prompt. This is my PowerShell prompt here. I am on C drive. Let me go to my, or from anywhere, I can do that, right? So let us test it and let us change it. Demo should be there already. So I want to create a directory in E drive with the name, or a folder in E drive with the name demo2, right? So the command is new item. Then you have to specify the keyword as path, then specify the path where you want to create the directory. I want to create a directory in under E drive, and what I want to create, that I have to specify under item type. So item type is directory. Let us create it. It got created. Directory under E, demo2 is created, right? So if I go to E drive, demo2 is created. It is blank. It is created now, right? You all are on silent. Are you able to grasp whatever I am saying?
Yes, sir. I also created same demo too.
Yeah, it is very, very simple, right?
Yes, yes.
These are some simple stuffs you are learning, but very important. Now, PowerShell supports different types of data types, right? So there is a beauty of PowerShell that it does not force you to create a variable type first and then assign the data, right? You can even create a variable create a variable without declaring it first, right? With its type. For example, take an example in SQL Server first. So here, if I want to say assign a value in a variable, for example, say very simple, take at the rate, or simply I'm writing here set at the rate num equals to 5, right? It's throwing an error. Print at the rate num. It will not work. If I execute it, it will throw an error that must declare the scalar variable num. So first of all, I will have to declare the type of this variable, right? So I will have to use the declare statement, declare at the rate num, and I will have to type it. I have to type it. I mean that I have to declare its type first, right? So first I declare the type, then only I was able to assign the value, right? So you see here, now it works. Likewise, if I write here set name equals to Neeraj, so it is throwing an error, right? So again, I will have to declare this variable first, declare, right? At the rate name equals to, within single quote, sorry, no value, name, and then say char 10, right? Then it will work. And after that, I can print it. You see here, now it is working. So lesson learned is what? That before using a variable, you have to define its type first. But in PowerShell, it is not like that, right? In PowerShell, you have both the options, right? You can create a variable without declaring its type first, or even you can declare the type and then you can create the variable. Both the options are supported. So for example, let us do the same thing here, right here. Here you have to start the variable with $sign, right? There you start the variable with @sign. So here you write dollar, and the first was num equals to 5, right? So this variable is created. And if you want to print this variable, there are two ways you can do that. Either you type simply $num, its value will be printed, the 5 is printed, or you can write this value. The full CMDlet is write host, WRITE, write, HOST, host, and then specify the variable name, that is num. So 5 you get, or even you can use its alias only write, right, and $num. So it's working, right? Write is the alias for write host, right? So write host is something to write on the screen, on the console, and write is the alias for write host CMDlet. That's why it is working. Another case was with name. So specify the variable here, $name equals to, and here you have to use double quote, right? NEER is a Neeraj, it's a string now, right? And then you simply can display it $name, right? Sorry, spelling is wrong, right? $NAME, name, you got it, Neeraj. You can write, display this name by using the write host, WRITE-HOST, host, and then specify the variable name, $, name. So it's here, Neeraj. Likewise, it will work with write also, write, and then $, and then the variable name, Neeraj. It's working, right? Another way is to typecast it with its type, but before doing so, let us learn about the types of data that is support, that is known as data types in PowerShell, right? So in PowerShell, you have Boolean data type. Its value can be true or false. You have byte data type. It's only 8-bit unsigned integer. It's similar to your SQL Server. Byte is there in SQL Server, right? It occupies 8-bit, and you can assign any value from 0 to 255 in this. Character type data is there. It's a 16-bit unsigned number from 0 to 63,535, right? Or char can even accept one character like A, B, C, D, something. Date is there, right? It's date data type. Then, but the format is different, right? It gives you complete date and time. So for example, just execute the command get date, right? So in this format, the date is given Saturday, December 12, along with the time. You can see here. Then to store the decimal value, right? You have the decimal data type. Then to store decimal value with double precision in the floating point notation, right? You have the double data type, you have integer data type. You can store integer from this range to this range. This range is very high. It's a 32-bit signed integer. Then you have long data type. It's again supports a large range of value. From this range to this range, you can store the value. It's 64-bit signed whole number. So double, decimal, double, float should also be there. Float is not here. Decimal, double, and then single. Right, these three are used to store values with decimal part, right? And your byte, then your integer, and then your long. These are used to for bigger value. No, long is also used to store integer value as well as decimal value. It can store, right? Object can store different kinds of object. We will talk about that. Short can store only integer values, right? Then you have single and double for storing floating point numbers. How many of you know about floating point numbers? Then you have a string. It's a group of characters, like I stored Niyaj. So it's a group of character. How many of you know about floating point numbers? Let me open Excel here. I'm writing a number. Say I'm writing here 9, 8, or simply 9. I'm putting 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. See how Excel converted it. Excel converted it into floating point number because that number was too large, right? It means 9e plus 22 means 9 multiplied by 10 to the power 22. Got it? It's a positive number, right? Now I am going to store a value here. Say 0 0.9000000, something like that. So it's 0.9. What should I do now? Just a minute. See, now it's converted in this format. So this is simple one. Let us concentrate here. This is floating point notation, right? So under the single and double data type, you can store floating point numbers. Or different kinds of variables we talked about. Okay. Let us come here. And now let us assign, let us do some manipulation here. Say I'm creating a variable here, $num equals to 5, $num equals to 10, and I'm writing here $num equals to, oh, this value is overridden. Let us clear the screen. Let us create two variables, $num1 equals to 10, $num2 equals to 20 or 10. Dollar num3 equals to dollar num1 plus dollar num2, and write dollar num3. I'm getting the value of the addition of these two variables. Dollar num is created, assigned a value 10. Dollar num2 is assigned a value 10. In dollar num3, the addition of num1 and 2 is assigned, so I am getting the value 20. So why I'm giving you this example? Because now I am going to, here the plus works as a arithmetical operator, addition operator. Now I'm going to concatenate these two strings, right? Now I'm going to concatenate the two strings with help of plus. Let us see how we can do that. So I'm writing here dollar, this is my variable name, or I can write f name, first name equals to, within single quote, Neeraj, dollar L name equals to, within single quote, Mishra, and dollar full name equals to dollar F name plus dollar L name, and then WRIT write, and here it is spelling W I wrote, right? So write dollar FW LNAME name, full name, right? So concatenation of two strings are done using the plus sign. So how a smart PowerShell is, you can see, depending upon the data types, the same operator is behaving differently, right? For arithmetical data, it is doing arithmetic operation, and for a string, it is doing a concatenation operation, right? This is the difference. Any question here? No question? So you've gone through the data types. Now you are interested to know about the data types of a variable, right? So for that, you have method related to each of the object, right? So here, full name is your one of the string here, right? And every string has some methods, different methods that it supports. So one of the method is get type. So using the get type method of any variable, right, you can determine its data type, right? So let us type the variable, say $FUULMENE full name dot get type. You can see here the type is a string, right? Is public? Yes. Is serial? Yes, true. And the type is true. And its base type is system.object, right? So we are interested to find the type. Here it's saying a string, but so far num3, Let us check for the num3, dollar num3, right? And then use its method as get type type, what it says. It's int 32. It's integer, 32-bit integer, right? You are getting? Vivekanand, Ram Kumar, all are
Yes.
getting?
Sir, we're getting
Yes,
INST 32. Then what about
Sorry.
60?
Sorry.
Integer 32, sir.
It's
Type.
32-bit. See here, not
But
30. It's int, you can see here integer where it is written. A 32-bit signed whole number, right?
oh,
Int data type is 32-bit signed data type, right? In PowerShell, integer. That's why it is giving you int 32. 32-bit, int 32-bit number, right? Okay. More you want to see here? We will discuss about the programming section tomorrow. Let us go through a sample demonstration of PowerShell script that interacts with your SQL Server, right? So that will be the last part of this class or demonstration. And tomorrow we will talk about different programming constructs, especially I will talk about conditional statements and looping statements tomorrow. Okay. So now to develop the script, the best way, you can write a script even in PowerShell, right? But you can write a script even in Notepad, right? Or any a script editor you can write. But it's better to write always scripts in PowerShell ISE. And to open PowerShell ISE, nothing you have to do. Simply write here PowerShell and select this option, Windows PowerShell ISE, right click here and run as administrator, right? So I am here now. Same window will open, right? So this is the window where you can write your scripts, okay? Let me check which will work fine, which is easier to explain. Okay, it's working fine. So there are many scripts I have written in last 7-8 years in PowerShell, from where it has been taken, and these all are based on real-time environment works. So I did automation for collecting such information which is required. You see here, I have been telling you that there are different kinds of providers for your PowerShell, right? And assemblies are one of the provider. So one provider is your SQL PS, that is mini PowerShell. We will talk about that. Another is your assembly list. Another is your snap-ins for PowerShell. We are using the assemblies here. Although it is not necessary to include these all assemblies. Only the second one is enough, right? Here you see Microsoft SQL Server SMO. But it is a good practice. What you do, I have created an array of assemblies. So $assembly list here is an array of a string. So this is my first string. This is one assembly. This is another string. This is one assembly. So right now for this illustration, this assembly is enough. Microsoft SQL Server SMO, right? So SMO here actually is a assembly defined under the Microsoft.SQL Server namespace, right? So this is my assembly here, SMO, and it is enough for this demonstration. But if you are using the assembly method for provider of SQL Server to execute your PowerShell script, right? So it's better to include these all assemblies, right? But most of the times you are you will use only the top two, right? Microsoft SQL Server management.common and Microsoft SQL Server.smo. So these two are the assembly that you include in your list. Assembly list is here. So this is a variable I am creating. Now, you may not be able to understand this concept here right now for looping. So I will discuss about these loops tomorrow. But this is just for illustration that how we can interact with the database. So now for each of the assembly, we are loading it. We are loading these assemblies. So for each ASM in the assembly list, here is the assembly list. This is an array of strings, and each of the value will be assigned to ASM. And in the ASM, we are loading the assembly here, right, with this syntax. Now what I am doing, I am creating an Excel workbook. Then in the workbook, I am creating sheets. So, and get content is the CMDlet to read the content that is written in a text file. So in this text file, I have put one SQL server here under the E drive text servers, E drive servers.txt. I have put one SQL server instance name here. You can put many instance names, right? 500, 20, 50, 500, whatever instances you have, you can put the names of those instances here. So I put the name of that instance in that file. So from here, it is getting the content, the name of the instance, and it is assigning in this variable. So for each instance, I'm iterating through the loop. Or the main thing, then I'm filling up the value here. This is the heading I am creating. We will discuss about these all things in detail later on. My main objective, that where I am coming now, is this. This is the main objective. That is what I would like to talk here. Microsoft SQL Server Management SMO.server. Now you see here, SMO Microsoft SQL Server.smo. Up to this is the assembly that we are including or loading in this script. This is similar to has include stdio.io.h in C that you are including, right? So this assembly you are including the SMO assembly, and this SMO assembly is having one class there that is SQL Server, that is server, right? So what we are doing, we are creating a new object of this class. Yes, server is a class. So where it's referred to, this class refers to this assembly, right? Microsoft SQL Server Management.smo assembly. So I am referring to this assembly, right? For this server class, and for this class, I am creating a new object. So now what I am doing, I am creating a new object for what is assigned in the instance. So in the instance, the server instance name, which is written in the text file that is being assigned in the instance variable. So there it is /demo, something server name and /demo instance name is there. So that is assigned. I'm creating and assigning it to here. Now I'm creating this instance and assigning it into S variable. Now the S variable is what you can think is that it's your complete SQL Server instance here. So whatever databases it has, right, that can be accessed using its properties databases. So $s dot databases means that instance dot databases that I am assigning into variable $dbs, right? After that, I am getting the properties of the database, right? Name, collation, compatibility level, auto sync property, recovery model, size, and space available, right? So I'm getting this. Then for each of the database, now I'm looping through and getting the data and filling into the sheet, right? And then I'm putting some conditions here. So my objective is to not teach you these all things here right now. My objective is to show you that in order to manipulate with SQL Server, right, you have to create an instance of this object, Microsoft.sqlserver.management.smo.server. So whatever I am talking, if you people are not getting that, I will talk tomorrow about that what an object is, what is a class, what is an object, how we can instantiate an object, right? Or what is object what is object instance, right? So actually class instance is an object. So I will have to talk about then some concept of object oriented programming, then only you people can get. But the main objective is to connect to SQL Server and deal with, you know, SQL Server. You have to create this object first, right? So after that, you can get information from that instance, whatever you want. So in the instance name, the instance of my SQL Server is assigned. And for that, a management, a SQL Server object has been created. And with this instance name, this has been instantiated as well. So we are doing two tasks here. We are creating the SMO object, SMO server object, and as well as we are instantiating this object with the instance name as well. Two tasks we are doing here, right? It can be done in two steps. I will show you, make it simple tomorrow. So now if I run this script here, what information it is giving me, let us see. So it is creating an Excel sheet, right? This Excel sheet has been created right now. It has put the instance name information on the top, that this is the instance name, and these are the information that it has gathered, right? You can expand it. These are the databases we have. This is the collation setting for these databases. This is the compatibility level for these databases. Auto sync is set to false. Recovery model is 1 and 3. Someone is in simple, someone is in full, right? So it is here. No database is in bulk recovery model. This is my database size, and space available is not filling anyway. It is taking some incorrect data, I think. That's why it is not filling. So this is what very simple thing you can do in PowerShell, right? If this information you have to gather manually, right, it will take a lot of time. Or you can ask that such information I can get from T-SQL as well. Yes, you can get, but what you will have to do, you will have to go to each of the servers and you will have to execute your T-SQL script. But here we are executing PowerShell script, and in this file under E drive where we were, in this file, I have given only one instance name. You can give 2, 3, 4, 5, 500 or 1000 instance names, and you can run this script from a single server, and it would collect information from all those 500 instances. That is automation. That is automation. Right, guys? So
Great.
we will continue the session tomorrow as well at the same time, from maybe from 1:30 or 2 p.m. I will schedule the session, and tomorrow we will try to learn a few more CM relates and variables, more about variables. The typecasting I have not discussed today for variables. After that, we will talk about the basic things, that is operators used in PowerShell and special variables in PowerShells. When these topics will be finished, I will enter into programming constructs of PowerShell, right? And then we will again talk about this script more in detail that we have seen right now. So we will talk more about this script tomorrow. But anyway, from the third class, we will completely enter into automation of SQL Server tasks, right? So that's fine. Shiva, you there?
Yeah, there, Neeraj. Yeah, it's a good class. Thank you.
So I have a confusion. You are the Shiva who is my student of performance tuning batch, or you are a new one?
Yeah, performance tuning batch.
Okay. Srinivas, you there? Srinivas? Venkat?
Yeah, yes, Neeraj.
So I have my one student earlier named as Venkat. So you are same or you are new one?
Oh, I'm new one.
Okay. So we will continue tomorrow at 1:30, right? And so can you send your email ID too, so that I can send you the invite?
Yeah, sure, Neeraj.
Okay. So
Can you share the syllabus, please? I'm just pinging my email ID.
Ram Kumar?
Yes, Neeraj. Can you?
I will ping. I will send you here. Okay, guys. So this is all from me for today.
I have a doubt. Will you share all the script end of the class every day?
Sorry.
Will you share the scripts? End of the class.
I will share the document. I will share the script. I will share the recording. All are here. They have been getting from very beginning, right?
Okay. Thank you.
So those who are interested, right? Just an information again. Just they will have to pay only 6,000 rupees. I will share my account and Paytm number with them, right? You can contact me on my phone number, or you can drop me a mail, right? So this is all from me for today, and we will connect tomorrow at I will try to have the class at 1 p.m. because I have some meetings tomorrow at 3:30. So maybe at 1:30 or 12:30 I will schedule the class. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you.